Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the course. In the previous video, we saw that we need to create a lot of tests for different parameters of the prayer time calculator. And for that reason, we decided to use something called parametrized testing. In this video, I'm going to explain the parametrized testing and also some different particularities for this parametrized testing. Let's get started. So we saw that we are going to change only some parameters, right? And with these parameters, we are going to have multiple tests. Now, the way to do that with JUnit 5 is that we need a dependency. Go here to check if you have that dependency. We don't have it. Like this is the dependency. We need it like that, Jupyter params, just sync the project. And now here is what we can do, right? You can do the following. I can remove this test. And instead of annotating this with test, I can annotate it with parameterized test. This one, like this is the beauty. What I can do, I can pass some values from the parameters here, right? Let's say I'm going to pass the time format and it will be an int. And here I'm going to pass this time format like that. Of course, here, since it is the same thing, let me call it a time format. So I don't have problem like that. But from where we are going to get this value? Well, you can get them directly from here. You can do something called value source. And here you can provide an int array, some kind of int array. And then I want to test it for 0, for 1, for 2, and for 3. Okay, because these are the different value of time format. If you can see the time format 0, 1, 2, 3. So what will happen? This test will execute 4 times. First, it will pass the value of 0 and check. Second, it will pass the value of 1 and check, and so on. So this test will run 4 times. It will pass actually on once, but it will fail for 2 exactly. Because here we are changing actually the value. We are not using AM. So actually, and here we are completely using a value of, I think, 24 hours. And here are using floating numbers. So here actually, since you are passing the time format, we need also to pass the expected result. Now, as I told you here, we need also to pass this thing. Now, you can't pass this with value source because it will accept only array of certain thing. There is something called CSV source, which is a great thing to pass CSV and also CSV file source. This is the way we are going to do it. But before that, there is another one called method source. We are going to pass a method that will generate the thing for us. So I can pass the method name as test data, but I have to create a method that will give us the value here. What I can do actually is the following. I can create here something called prayer time test data. So this class will help me pass only one parameter instead of passing multiple parameters. This will contain the calculation time, time format, for example, the expected time, which are this thing. So I can refactor it to something like the following. And then here using this test data, I can test with the following test data.time format here. And here, instead of using this fixed one, I can use another one and I can use the test data dot the expected times, and I'm going to convert them to an array, to type array. And here, as you can see, we need also to test for different latitude, longitude, and also some time zone. So you see the parameters are pretty massive, but I'm just trying to show you how this method source work. I made the full video on parameterized testing on my YouTube channel if you want to explore this topic alone, because it has a lot of capabilities, right? I'm explaining here the topics and how we are going to use them. But for more clarity, please check out the video, or you can check the documentation, of course. So we need to define that method, of course. We can define it like the following. Create a companion object. And inside that companion object, you need to create a function with the exact name of test data. Okay, like that. And this one must return kind of a collection. So it will return us a list of the prayer time test data that we created earlier. And here simply return a list of that. And I'm going to pass this list. As you can see, this is some generated thing, right? It contains the calculation time, different ones. It contains this dates, for example, and this times, and it contains the dates and the time format. So with that in mind, we are going still to face an issue because it won't work. You need to annotate this with add JVM static, okay? That way, what will happen is that you are going to execute this test 4 times with this test data. If you are going to run it won't pass, but I'm just showing you the example. Okay, it won't pass, but as you can see, we are passing it multiple times. So this is on how to do the parameterized testing. What I'm going to do in the course, because I already created that, I'm going to use something called CSV source. Okay, CSV file source. And I'm going to create a file, a spreadsheet that contains many things. Contain the time format as a heuristic, adjusted highlight, this latitude, longitude, different time zones, and also different dates. And using this kind of combination, I can cover a lot of the code. So we can increase the code coverage. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to add is the file of the prayer time cases, right? After you copy the file, like you are going to see a lot of numbers, you can do this thing in order to check that this is CSV, comma, everything. I think everything is fine. Exactly, you can open the table, and here you can see we have different time formats, different calculation methods, different dates, and stuff like that. I'm going to use this one. So actually I used ChatGPT to generate some of the things here, some of the numbers, but I have used the code here, the prayer time calculator, to generate this thing. Okay, so this is a good way to start, like this kind of around 20 tests. Okay, this is pretty fine. Now we need to change here. So here is what I did. I created this test, which is given multiple input data, third time is correct. The first line, we need to skip it because it is the header line. And then we have some kind of converters. These converters are helpful because we want to convert this string into some kind of date. We use something called date converter, in which it will scan and simply it will convert it to a date. This is pretty fine. The second one, which is an array converter, because here we are giving the times as an array, because we are giving it as full string with commas, right? Here we are doing it as an array converter. It will convert it into an array. So it will just split it and convert it into an array. So we have this actual parameters, as you can see. This one are pretty fine, and double are pretty fine to convert, but this custom types or complex types are pretty hard. We need to create converters for that. As said, I cover everything in my video, just check it. I added also this tune in order to check with this coverage. And this is actually pretty fine. If you can run our test, are going to see 20 different cases. So with this in mind, we covered pretty good chunk of the code. In the next video, we are going to write some other unit tests to cover some other stuff that are not covered directly. For example, we do have this formatting stuff. We need to cover them with different times. Luckily, these methods are public. We can test them directly. There is this one. There is this set Isha, Maghrib, and Fajr time. We are going to create custom method for those. That way we can cover big chunk of the code. So that's it for this video, and see you in the next video. Salam alaikum.